technocrats are just going to impose these things without any democratic accountability. So for quite some time, we've seen that there's been an anti-car climate in some quarters. That has now become all pervasive. So actually it's what they want, right, Kevin? So basically, you know, Micah Carter in Haringey Council said, we're going to make it as painful as possible. Philip Glanville, who's the mayor of Hackney, he's saying 75% of these roads closed. Islington, 70%. So when we see things like Leicester, where residents, as you say, are actually moving them themselves, or Rochdale, where they actually destroy them, and we've seen these things happen in Oxford, they're very divisive. What's actually happening is people are saying, you've come and done this by stealth, you haven't engaged with us, there hasn't been proper consultation. When you have consulted, you've ignored us, a bit like Sadiq Khan with ULEZ. And all of these measures that tell us we're at a permanent state of crisis and it must happen now, we know what's best for you, be quiet, get on with it. It's actually limiting our freedom. It's stopping our ability to have mobility. And the car, in many ways, it represents independence for people, particularly as it happens for the worst off socioeconomically. Because actually, what many of these measures do, they penalise the worst off, drivers and workers and ordinary people. Because if you can happen to afford a lot of fines, then you can get around these things. Although, of course, your point about being in constant gridlock, we now know that the average speed, forget the 20-mile-per-hour speed they're all proudly proclaiming, is about 9.6 miles per hour. Often it's less than 5 miles an hour, less than a horse. This is what we're dealing with, back to feudal approach, where we were charged for coming from one hamlet to another. And there's a discussion, there's a view that Sadiq Khan and others around the country want us to pay for every zone we go through, which is why these ANPR cameras are there. And actually, what's really important, the Together Association, the Together Declaration, are working with people around the country who are residents, campaigners. We've just been in Kings Heath in Birmingham. We're in every city working with them, getting people to challenge their councillors, to invite them out to debate, to go to their surgery and say, we're not having this anymore. You've done it by stealth. It's not acceptable. They need to go.
But they won't listen, will they? I mean, it is